Hello everyone, I'm here to explain two tricky concepts from the Math EdVista on April 10th and 11th. First, we're going to go into angles with parallel lines. You're very likely to see this because the math concept here is you need to know two specific facts. You need to know that in a question, when you have two parallel lines crossed by one diagonal line, first, opposite angles will be equal, and second, that supplementary angles will be equal to 180 degrees. So you notice that on the exam on day 2, there was one that said, if you have 64 degrees in this angle, what is this angle? So the first thing you're supposed to figure out is you're supposed to figure out that this angle plus this angle is 180, that these two angles are supplementary. So then if we know 180 degrees is supplementary angle equals 64 degrees plus some other angle. I'm going to make that angle, I'm going to call it A. 180 degrees equals 64 plus A. This now becomes a relatively simple balancing equations. Right? We have a plus 64 over here. We want to get the A all by itself. So we do both sides. We're going to subtract 64. Minus 64 from this side, minus 64 from this side. That makes A equals, and if you have a calculator, you can figure this out, 116. So 116 equals A. This angle is 116 degrees. So now let's take this angle. We can use this to figure out what every single angle is, because if we know that 64 degrees for the small one, and it's 116 degrees for the big one, guess what? We can use number one, that opposite angles will be equal, and figure all four of these angles. But the one opposite 116 at the top is also going to be 116, and the one opposite 64 is also going to be 64. And that's a wrap. We have now figured out all the way around. You can, of course, check to make sure that you're correct, because all the way around a circle should equal 360 degrees. So 116 plus 64 plus 116 plus 64 equals 360. So we're correct. Okay, let's move on to area and circumference of a circle. Woo! So the circumference is the perimeter of a circle. It's the part that goes along the outside. The equation of circumference is 2 pi r, 2 times pi times r. You may be like, what is pi? What is pi? Pi is a number that roughly equals 3.14, although it actually goes on forever, like 1, 5, 1, 9, 2, 6, blah, 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 blah. That's less important than knowing that pi is a number that equals just about 3.14, and it shows up in circles a lot. It's a number that you're going to find in almost every single circle equation. For example, circumference equals 2 times pi times r. So let's say we're given an equation where the circumference, they give us the number. Let's say it's 16 pi, 16 times pi. Let's take that then and plug it into this equation. 16 pi is equal to 2 pi r. The circumference is 16 pi, and the equation is 2 pi r. We divide both sides by 2. Crossing them out. We divide both sides by pi, crossing them out. And we're left with 8, which is 16 divided by 2, equals r, the only thing left in this equation, all by itself. So the radius is r. The radius of the circle is 8. Now we're going to plug that in to find the area. Because if you know the radius of a circle, you know the area. An equation for area is that the area is pi, there's pi again, pi times the radius squared. So, we know the radius, we know r, it equals 8. So the area equals pi times 8 squared. So, we know that 8 squared is 64, so the area is pi times 64. And generally when we're writing things, we like to have pi at the end. So the area is 64 pi. And that is how you turn the circumference of a circle into the area. That happened on both the Wednesday and Thursday days of the Math EdVista, so you want to make sure you know this. Thank you. Bye.